Hey guys, this is our 10th weekly vlog in our 2018 vlog series. We just finished our first full week back at work after Disney, so glad to have that behind me. It's Friday, yay, that's always a good thing. I went by the grocery store after work, ran another errand, and poor Brian's doing our taxes, which isn't so fun. And I gotta cook some things tonight, so I don't think tonight much is gonna happen, but hopefully tomorrow we'll have some fun stuff going on. Hey guys, it's Saturday morning, and Brian, while I've been in the shower, has already been cooking up a storm. He has already cooked the potatoes, so he's making that warm German potato salad, but this is a vegetarian version, and it's of course gluten-free. So good. We've made this a long time ago.
There's a stem of time in there.
There is a stem. Bonus! We made this a long time ago on the vlog. I couldn't even tell you when, but it's so tasty. It's got like
smells good.
Mustard and
vinegar,
thyme. What else is in there?
Olive oil. That's about it.
Yeah, it's very
really
simple.
Yeah.
And it's that grainy kind of mustard. I think that's pretty key. All right, I'm going to be the guinea pig and try it before Brian takes his plastic gloves off. I think it needs more something. Did you put salt?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that would be it. He doesn't like salt, I do. This morning's breakfast is smoked salmon, cream cheese with lemon juice, some chives, and these are some gluten-free bagels by Canyon Mills. They're actually pretty tasty. They're everything bagels. All right, so we did an experiment this morning. We had some expired eggs from going to Disney, and we didn't eat them before we left, so they're expired. So we've been wanting to try making a soft-boiled egg. So this is the experiment. We boiled it for 6 minutes.
Well, we saw it on a TV show recently, right?
Yes, and so we thought, you know, let's try this because we've always wanted to make them. We made hard-boiled eggs, but just never soft-boiled. So let's see if this actually worked.
So we did a simmer on 6 minutes.
All right, so as I was peeling, the egg just kind of came apart, and it's definitely still liquidy in the middle. In fact, I think I see some uncooked whites.
Oh, really?
So I would not want that. I like my white cooked. I'm weird that way. I'm just going to open this since we're not going to eat it. There's no reason to. That's pretty close, though.
That's close. I see what you mean by the white at the top there.
There's just a little bit. That's pretty close. All right, so we're going to make sure that this is not cooked. It is partially cooked.
It is partially cooked.
Now, that's weird that the white is still not cooked in places, but this is cooked mostly.
Huh. All right, so we failed.
Well, I don't know what we could have done different though, because if you cooked any longer, this would be hard boiled, and if you cooked any less, you'd have a lot of raw white.
A lower simmer for a longer period of time.
Maybe. I think this is about right. I think this would be considered soft boiled because the middle is soft.
Huh.
So we're finally going to cook these green lip mussels we bought a few weeks ago. They're frozen. We're going to defrost them and then try to replicate kind of what we had at the Food and Wine, well, what Brian had at the Food and Wine Festival. I couldn't eat it because I had gluten breadcrumbs on it. I found these gluten-free, quote, breadcrumbs. They're actually made out of chickpeas. I've tried another brand, Ian's, and I didn't like the other brand, so I figured I might as well try these, and they're organic, and they only have chickpeas, that's it. So I am putting the breadcrumb mixture, which is these not real breadcrumbs, on them. And I already squirted them with lemon juice. It said to do that first. So hopefully this turns out. We did not have Parmesan cheese, which the recipe called for. And we're using these unusual breadcrumbs. So I'm very curious. I hope it's good. But the mussels look fantastic. This looks really good.
It looks tasty.
And I will put a link to the recipe that we used in the show notes. It's just one I looked up online. It's not from Disney specifically, but this is pretty much what his were like.
And in other news, we got some squash that just came out of the oven here.
Well, we went to Costco this morning and they had huge bags of organic squash, so why not? All right, out they are. Our biggest concern is since you cook them under the broiler, we're afraid that the mussel's not done. But everything I read said anywhere from like 2 to 6 minutes, so I think they're done. Here's the final dish. We tried one. I'm not a fan of the breadcrumbs. I think they taste like garbanzo beans, which is what they are, or chickpeas. I would go back to trying the Ian's, which are also gluten-free again next time, but I think this needs more garlic, more butter, more lemon zest. It just mostly tastes like breadcrumbs on top of mussels. So that's just my opinion. I would tweak the recipe quite a bit. It is Sunday morning and Brian has been cooking up a storm as usual. Well, not really cooking, but doing cold stuff. He did all his work salads and he's making, what is that, tomato salad, cucumber salad?
Cucumber salad, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's gonna make some dip. Some of that yogurt dip we showed a few weeks ago. And I am gonna make the pancakes that I showed you that we bought from Costco. And this is actually a pretty funny bag. I didn't even notice this when I bought it. It says micro pancakery, which cracks me up, and it says caveman approved, but it's gluten-free, which is what I care about, and the ingredients are good. And so I went ahead and mixed it because it said that you need to let it sit a few minutes to thicken, but it's just the mix in water, which is what I'm a big fan of. And I'm going to also heat up a couple of Applegate Farms organic sausages. Here's what the final product of the pancakes. So it made 4 about this size, which is perfect for me because Brian's not gonna eat them. He's not a pancake person. I'll let you know how they taste. I finished the pancakes, I ate 2 of them, and it's hard for me to review them because if you've had paleo food or gluten-free food, it's not the same as a regular pancake. It's just not. The closest I've ever found is King Arthur, for those of you who are gluten-free. But it has a lot of stabilizers and stuff, so it's not necessarily the healthiest. Considering how healthy these were, they were good.
So they're better than Mickey waffles? Gluten-free Mickey waffles?
It depends on which restaurant. So Brian just asked me a question, and Siri just started talking out of the blue, and it was too distracting. I had to stop her.
Siri wanted to give her opinion on it.
Yeah, she wanted to get in on it. So what did you ask me, Brian?
Were these pancakes better than the gluten-free Mickey waffles
at Disney World?
Yeah.
It depends on the restaurant. At Boma, no. The Boma Mickey waffles to me are always consistently good, the gluten-free ones. But if we're talking Trails Inn brunch, these are way better. I don't know if you guys ever saw our video. I'll try to remember to link it over here.
That could have been just one day off.
Or a new chef. Like, I don't know. They were raw in the middle. I mean,
yeah,
like raw. And so I sent them back and they brought more and they were equally raw in the middle. They were really bad. So I'll try to remember to put that in there. But would I get these again? I don't know. I'll probably have to eat them again and decide, but they don't taste bad. They just don't have quite the right texture. I think that's the best way to describe it. All right, so I am now making fresh collards. I'm doing batch cooking though. We're not gonna eat all these over here in one sitting, but I love greens of all kinds. For some reason, we have a hard time unless you go to the farmer's market getting variety of greens, but you can almost always get collards here because we're in the South. It's really a beautiful, beautiful day. You can kind of see the creek over there barely in our woods behind our house, but it's still cool. It's mostly in the 50s today. It's going to hit 60, I think, for the high, so it's a little cool, but it still feels great in the sun. But they're actually saying we're going to get snow this week again. Crazy. Our grill is old and it kind of stinks, so if it's below, say, 50 degrees, you just can't get it hot. It doesn't matter how hard you try. It's because it's old and doesn't work very well. And we've actually replaced all these grates. That's why they don't fit perfect. You see how there's room on the end. But we decided to stick with it because we know we're going to move in a few years and we can replace it once we move. So I am going to cook kielbasa. If you're wondering, no, I'm not going to eat that whole thing. It actually gives me several meals. Since Brian doesn't eat it, I just freeze the leftovers. I cut it in smaller pieces and then freeze it, and it reheats just fine. Hey guys, it's Tuesday. Sorry I was MIA yesterday. I had a bad migraine, and so it wasn't on the computer, it was not on video, it wasn't doing much of anything. But I'm back to normal today. And I did get some fun Disney mail. I got our Mickey monitor, and if you're not familiar, it's a little tiny magazine that comes out from Disney to annual pass holders. I don't know what you guys' experience is, but mine is that I don't always get it. Even when I'm, you know, an annual pass holder, sometimes it just doesn't even get sent to me. And then when it does, it's like this one. It's for the season that is pretty much already past as far as my trips. Like, this one's focusing on spring, and we already did our spring trip. We went in early March. It's very strange to me that they don't send out, you'd think they send the spring one during the winter, the summer one during the spring, and so on. unless they're just gearing it strictly towards annual pass holders who live in the vicinity, in which case you'd think they'd only mail them out in Florida and just not bother sending them to the rest of us. I mean, maybe there's other people who do spontaneous trips, but we definitely don't do spontaneous trips based on what we read in the Mickey Monitor. We might do them based on other reasons, but anyway, I still like flipping through it, even though I usually don't learn anything new, since I keep up with all the Disney news on Disney blogs and social media. Usually I don't find anything in there that's new, but it's Disney mail, so it's fun. Brian is not here. If you guys remember, if you're new to our channel, I'll just backtrack. We both had a Moviepass briefly, and if you don't know what that is, it's a credit card you get from this company, Moviepass. It works like a credit card, but only at movie theaters and with their app. And you pay $10 a month, and you get to go to one movie a day, each day of the month if you wanted to, up to one movie a day. There's some restrictions, like some special 3D movies or IMAX movies may be excluded. It varies though, because Brian said he's at an IMAX today and it was included. I think it just depends on how expensive it is, maybe. But we both got one for a while, and Brian loves it and I did not. And also when I canceled mine, they kept charging me, which wasn't cool, and I had to dispute it with the credit card company to get them to stop, because I tried calling them, I tried emailing them. It took them 2.5 months to get back to me, which my credit card company had long since resolved it at that point. It was kind of crazy. So I would say they're doing well from that perspective. I think they're just slammed, and that's why that happened to me. But Brian is a huge movie buff, and he loves seeing movies in the theater. I'm not a huge movie buff. I like some movies, but I don't really prefer going to the theater except for very specific types of movies. Sort of the big eye candy, you know, like Star Wars is a good example, Avengers movies, you know, the ones with the really amazing special effects, or just something that you want to see on the big screen. Like back when they came out, the Lord of the Rings movies is another example. There's just certain ones that I'm going to want to see. But most movies, including most Disney movies, I just prefer to watch at home in the comfort of my home, where I can pause them, you know, get a drink, go to the restroom. There's no one kicking in the back of my seat. There's no one texting, you know, all those kinds of things. So it's just difference in people. So anyway, on that note, tonight he went to see Tomb Raider, which is a movie I would like to see, but I can totally wait for it to come out on DVD. It's not something I felt the need to go see on a work night. And because I'm no longer going with him, he likes to go on work nights so that we have our weekends together, since I'm no longer have a Moviepass. And yes, I will still go to the theater with him and just pay out of pocket for certain movies, but they'll fall in the category of the ones I just described. Like, out of what's coming out in the near future, probably the new Han Solo movie is going to be the next one that I would actually pay to go see in the theater. But we'll see. You never know. I might get in the mood to see something else, or if he decides he wants to go on a weekend. I don't like going after work. I am just too tired. Like, because, you know, a movie might only be an hour and a half to 2 hours, but then, you know, there's all the previews and everything, and then the driving to and the driving from. Just not something I want to do on a work night. I like weekend matinees are actually my favorite time to go. And the earlier the better. Around here we have some at like 10 a.m., which is wonderful because there's usually no one there and it's usually pretty cheap. Hey guys, it is Wednesday, and it does feel like a Wednesday. It snowed this morning for a few hours, but none of it stuck, thankfully. And so it was a pretty uneventful day. I am just so ready for warmer weather. It's supposed to be the second day of spring. And I live in the South, and it's snowing, and it was in the 30s all day and rainy. Just not a great day. And I know you guys north of us have got a worse situation, but this is odd weather for here. It really is. I am ready for warmer weather, and we are going to Carowinds on Saturday for opening day, and it's supposed to be high in the low 40s that day. Not good coaster weather. So we're still looking forward to it, but wow, that's gonna be crazy. I am hoping to get a video of that out pretty quickly. If it happens to be out by the time this video is out, I'm not sure about that, but if it is, if I get time to do it, I will link it right there. If not, it'll be out shortly after this video. We'll do a separate video for opening day, separate from our weekly vlog. Hey guys, it is Thursday. Woohoo! Work week's almost over. Fun weekend ahead. So I just wanted to pop on to basically sign off because tonight I am going to be on the WDW Main Street podcast. I will put a link to their show in the show notes below. I don't know if this episode will be out before this vlog. It probably will. If it is, I'll put a link directly to the podcast for tonight. If it's not out, I'll just put a link to the podcast, and please subscribe to them or listen to them on whatever media you like to listen to podcasts. They're great guys and they have a really informative podcast. They talk about news on Sundays, and then they almost always have another podcast where they discuss different Disney topics. Really great podcast. So tonight I'm going to be on there with my friend Judith for Ladies Night, and I think they're going to have us talk about, we were just all there at the same time, and that was not planned. It was total coincidence. Like, I didn't talk to them about our plans, and they didn't talk to me about theirs until we'd already made them. So it was pretty funny that we were all there. I mean, John lives there, but Doug and Judith both came from out of town at the same time we were there, so that was awesome. Probably had to do with it being the first week of Flower and Garden. We're probably all excited to go to that. And so I think we're going to talk a little bit about that trip maybe, and we're definitely going to talk about the resort parking fee. So if you didn't hear enough in my vlog last week of me talking about that, we will be talking about that tonight. And I don't, like I said, it won't come out tonight. I don't know exactly what day he plans to release it. It's usually pretty fast that he releases it. But also, I was going to say, I don't want to belabor this point because I talked about it extensively last week, but we are already changing our plans for next year. Don't worry. I know some of you expressed concern we wouldn't have Disney vlogs. We will have Disney vlogs. We're still going to go a minimum of 2 full weeks a year, but we had a 3rd week tentatively planned for next year. This is 2019, not this year. This year we've already got a lot of trips pre-booked and prepaid for through Renee and DVC, so those aren't going anywhere. But next year we had 3 trips planned. And we usually start out that way, and then we might add some or whatever. I doubt we'll add any because that's usually when we drive our car, and we're not going to pay. We're just not going to pay for parking. We're just not. But we had a 3rd trip tentatively planned, and we're already deciding to change that to stay off site because we weren't going to rent DVC for that one. So we're gonna go, well, this is all tentative, but I think we're gonna go back to that Marriott Grand Vista, which we stayed at before. I will link to our review of that. We loved it. And we've loved all the Marriott timeshares we've stayed at. That's not the only one we stayed at. And no, we don't have a timeshare with them. You can just rent it like a regular hotel room. It's a massive suite with your own laundry in your unit, full kitchen, super nice, right across the street from SeaWorld. We've never been to SeaWorld, and so Brian wants to go there for a day, also go to Busch Gardens Tampa for a day, but then the rest of the week, so this would be like our typical 7-day trip, we would still spend the rest of the week at Walt Disney World. We would just drive, and because since we're annual pass holders, we get free parking at the parks, just not at our resort. So it's already changing our plans, and I know they don't care about us, but they are losing money, at least from us, because of the change. But we'll see how it pans out over time, and we still have not gotten definitive word. I have heard from someone on Twitter that they talked to their DVC rental place, but I don't know which place that was, and they were told since they're a guest of the owner, they will be able to park for free. I have not heard back from my agent, and she knows I've already posted the question to her. So until I start hearing back from people that they definitely didn't have an issue, I wouldn't want to chance it. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'll let that go now, and probably won't talk about much more after this because I don't want to belabor the point. But anyway, oh, and I do want to say one more thing, sorry. I did get a response back from Disney, and I'm not sure if I already mentioned that this week. They basically didn't even read my email because they assumed I was a DVC owner, and I didn't say that I was in my email, nor am I, nor have I ever been. So it was obviously, didn't even read it and sent me some kind of form letter response, which I don't mind getting a form letter, but I would rather it just be a generic, thank you for your feedback, we will pass it to management, than to send me a detailed form letter that doesn't even fit my situation. So that was kind of disappointing, but I'm just gonna let it go at this point, like Elsa, let it go. I know they got a lot of negative feedback, so if they're not gonna change their mind, me emailing them one more time, I don't think it's gonna make any difference at this point. I do think emailing once is worth doing. If they don't hear from people, they won't know, but I really don't expect them to pull it back. I'd be surprised. I'd be pleasantly surprised, but I'd be surprised. So I'm curious to hear from you guys. Is the resort parking fee gonna change your plans at all? If you don't take a car, you can say that, because then, yeah, it wouldn't affect you. But if you do either rent a car or drive down, is this gonna impact you? Are you changing plans either now or do you expect to in the future? I'm just curious. So that's gonna wrap up this week's weekly vlog. As always, we appreciate subscribes, likes, shares, and comments. Until our next adventure.